And welcome into Getting Help from Uncle Sam. You know, the election's right around the corner. Most people go to the polls, and what they do is they say, who's the governor, lieutenant governor? You look at the top spots that are on the ballot, but very important part of the ballot are the amendments to the ballot. And what we've done today, we brought in Representative Mike Holmes, because Mike, what we want to be able to tell our viewers is the fact that the amendments really mean something on the ballot. They're not just something to fill space on that ballot, and they can be very important. Some are statewide and some are local.
Absolutely, they are amendments for a reason. They're constitutional amendments. So these items that we're talking about, if passed, will change our 1901 Constitution by adding these amendments. So yeah, there's 4 of them statewide on our ballot this time. There's one Elmore County one that we will address too, and there are several other local county resolutions, referendums on the ballot that you'll see around the state. But Elmore County has one that, interestingly enough, repeals a law that was enacted by the previous county commission that brought in partial home rule. And found out after 3 years that not much of anybody liked it. So we had a enterprising young lady, Shanna Chamberlain, who got out and started a petition circulating, got over 20,000 signatures, and convinced everybody that it needs to go back on the ballot. The first time we didn't get a chance to vote on it. It was strictly a county commission resolution passed. This one will be a repeal of that by a state constitutional amendment. So
that'd be great.
Their local ones are important. The statewide are all very important.
Absolutely.
And you need to look at those. Don't just vote one side of that ballot. Vote both sides.
And what they need to do is go and look at them ahead of time and find out what it really says and what it's all about. How can most people find out where the amendments are? I guess there's a
Secretary
website.
of State's office
would have all that.
They have a great website. It's very user friendly, and you can go on there and they'll show you the ballot. And they have. We passed a bill about 3 years ago that requires plain language, 4th grade level, for every one of these amendments, and that's very important too, to make it take it out of the legalese that a lot of these bills are written in and turned into something that people can understand. So, yes, the Secretary of State's website is probably the best place to go for information.
Yeah. How about the 4 that are up right now statewide?
Well, let's go to one that seems to be stirring up the most controversy first. There's 4 of them. Let's look at number 2. It's an amendment to the Alabama Constitution of 1901, and the current constitutional language never mentions abortion. It's not in there, and you can understand why. I mean, it was written a long time ago, and it was not a legal factor at that point. About 5 years ago, Alabama passed a bill that actually eliminated abortions after 20 weeks, which was thought to be viability of life. A child could survive outside the mother, and so that has been in place since then. But this Amendment 2 actually sanctifies life. Essentially, is what it does. And let me just quickly read.
Sure.
It declares that the state's policy is to recognize and support the sanctity of the unborn and the right of unborn children, including the right to life. It ensures the protection of rights of the unborn in all manners, measures, and that are appropriate, and states that nothing in the Constitution secures or protects a right to an abortion or requires the funding of an abortion by the state. So those are all protective languages. There's some concern and there's some hope that it depends on which side you're on, that with this new makeup of the Supreme Court, that Roe v. Wade that legalized abortion in this country may be challenged again, and we need to protect Alabama with the laws that we have. So that's essentially this amendment is doing that, is protecting Alabama, to leave us alone where we are. And that's the reason for this amendment. So I'm recommending that people vote yes. I think it's a good amendment to leave our law the way that most Alabamians, the overwhelming majority, over 70%, believe is the right way.
Absolutely, and what our viewers need to know is that the forces against this amendment are going to be spending lots of money to try to convince you that this is a bad amendment.
Many of you may have seen in the news, there's been a flood of outside money that's come in the last week, close to $750,000, all coming from Planned Parenthood associations in California and New York primarily. And their objective will be to defeat this amendment number 2 so that they can still have a toehold here in Alabama with legal abortions. So yes, there will be a lot of money spent, but again, I think it's worth looking at, and I think, in my opinion, it's worth us passing.
Good, that'd be wonderful. Then there's 3 others, and what are they?
They
Just,
are,
you can give us a brief overview of those.
First one has to do with 10 amendments. Number 1, the 10 commandments.
Right.
And it essentially legalizes displaying the 10 commandments in public facilities.
Okay. It's a no-brainer.
Well, I think it is too.
Yeah.
I think
I mean,
when you look at polling data on it, it's right under right to life,
Right.
with favorability in the state.
And you'd realize, again, as Representative Holmes said, you can go to the website
And you can
for
read
the Secretary of State
an
and
expanded
read them all
version of
in
what I'm
full.
going to read.
We're giving you the Reader's Digest version right
Exactly.
now.
This one has to do with the Board of Trustees of the University of Alabama, and it specifies that congressional districts that are being used to select those board members now will stay as is now.
Right.
It also removes the superintendent of education of the state from this board.
Okay.
And it deletes the requirement for retiring those members of the board at 70 years of age. It allows them to serve as long
That's
as they're
right.
capable. So, I think that's
Makes
important.
sense.
We've got some very capable people above
Amen.
70, including you.
That's right. Amen.
I think this one's worth passing too.
Good.
And then the last one has to do with, I've been involved directly in this one with special elections. This one does away with special elections for state offices like the legislature.
Okay.
After October of the year prior to their term expiration. So the last year, if it happens after October, and the year before an election, this year left on their term, there will be no special election.
Right.
The governor will appoint a replacement or leave it open at her discretion.
And then let it play itself out.
And then the primary will start very shortly, and it'll save a couple of $1 million per special
Right.
election. Count that up around the state, that's
Amen.
a good bit of money.
It is.
I honestly think all 4 of them are worthy of passage.
Good. Thank you so much. And just as we said, go to the Secretary of State's website, read them and read the whole thing. Make sure that you're informed when you go to the polls, but more importantly, go to the polls. And we'll be right back right after this.